They called it the war to end all wars, a conflict so massive it changed the map forever. But behind the maps is a darker history, a history written in blood, mud, and madness. Today, we aren't looking at the famous generals. We are looking at the brutal reality, the terrifying facts that the history books skip. This is the story of the Great War. 10 levels of pure, unadulterated horror. Prepare yourself, because history is messier than you think. Level 1. The children of the front lines. In 1914, patriotism swept through every city. Men rushed to enlist, fearing they would miss glory, but among them were children who had barely started shaving. The youngest recorded soldier was Sidney Lewis. He was only 12 years old on the front lines. He held a rifle almost as tall as himself. Thousands of boys lied about their age to fight. They wanted to be heroes, but found a nightmare. Parents didn't know where their sons had gone, until a telegram said their boy was never coming home. These children fought for a cause they didn't understand. They were told it was the right thing to do. By the end, an entire generation of boys was gone. Grave markers in France still show ages like 14, a silent reminder of innocence sacrificed for war. Level 2. The monster in the mud. Mud in the trenches wasn't just dirt and water. It was a thick soup of blood and decay. It was so deep, it became a killer itself. Soldiers spoke of mud as a living creature. If you slipped off the boards, you were dead. Records show men and horses being swallowed whole. Imagine sinking slowly while your friends watched you. They couldn't help because they would sink too. The mud filled your boots, then your lungs. It took hours for a man to disappear forever. And then there was the terrible, constant smell. A mixture of stagnant water and rotting corpses. Even if you survived, the mud stayed with you. It lived in your clothes and your dreams. The Great War was fought against the earth itself. Level 3. The iron harvest. The scale of artillery used is hard to grasp. On some days, 1 million shells were fired, but not every single shell exploded on impact. Roughly 30% of those shells were duds. They sank into the soft earth, waiting silently. Even today, the war is still killing people. Farmers call this reality the iron harvest. Every year, plows hit unexploded bombs from 1916. Tons of live ammunition are recovered every season. Special bomb squads still roam the countryside today. They deal with shells still leaking mustard gas. The ground is saturated with the remains of conflict. Estimates say it will take 5 centuries to clear. The war didn't end in 1918 for the soil. It is a ticking time bomb beneath green fields. Level 4. The green cloud of death. 1915 changed the nature of warfare forever. A strange green cloud appeared over the trenches. The soldiers watched it float slowly toward them. They thought it was smoke to hide an attack. But as the cloud hit, the screaming started. It was chlorine gas, the first mass destruction weapon. It reacted with the moisture in their lungs. It literally turned into acid inside their bodies. The men didn't die instantly. They drowned on land. They coughed up pieces of their own lungs. Later came phosgene and the dreaded mustard gas. Mustard gas didn't just hurt, it burned skin. It caused massive yellow blisters all over them. Soldiers wore primitive masks for hours in fear. But the masks were hot and often failed. Chemical warfare turned the battlefield into literal hell. Level 5. The rats of no man's land. Where there is death, there are always scavengers. The trenches were home to millions of rats, but these weren't ordinary city rats, you know. They were fueled by the remains of the fallen. Soldiers described rats as big as domestic cats. They were bold and completely unafraid of humans. They ran across the faces of sleeping soldiers. They ate rations right out of a man's pocket. But the terrifying part was what they ate next. They fed on the bodies in no man's land. Soldiers had to listen to them every night, knowing that if they died, rats would find them. A pair of rats produced 800 offspring yearly. The trenches were a breeding ground for monsters, a parasite that thrived on human tragedy. Level 6. The psychology of shell shock. The noise of war was unlike anything heard before. Constant artillery fire for weeks or even months. It was called drum fire, a relentless pounding. This led to a condition called shell shock. Men stopped talking, moving, or started shaking. Their nervous systems snapped under the pressure. They had seen too much to remain human. At first, military leaders didn't understand it. They called it cowardice or lack of character. Thousands were executed for desertion while broken. They were blindfolded and shot by their friends. It took years to realize the brain was wounded. The mental scars were deeper than physical ones. The men who came home were never truly back. They carried the guns in their heads forever. Level 7. The Christmas truce. Among the horror, there was one moment of humanity. Christmas Eve, 1914, on the Western Front. The British heard singing from the German lines. They were singing Silent Night in their language. Slowly, men climbed out of their dark trenches, not with rifles, but with cigarettes and chocolate. They met in the middle of no man's land. They shook hands and exchanged photos of wives. For one day, they were just tired men. There are records of football played in mud. But the generals were furious at the peace. They feared soldiers would lose the will to kill. The next day, officers forced them to fire. If they refused, they would be executed instantly. The truce proved that soldiers didn't hate each other. They were just pawns in a very cruel game. Level 8. The Underground War. While war raged above, another happened below. Special units of miners were brought from civilian life. Their job was to dig tunnels beneath enemy lines. They worked in total silence, inches from death. They could hear Germans digging tunnels nearby. Sometimes tunnels would meet, and a fight happened. Hand-to-hand combat in the pitch-black earth. Once finished, they filled tunnels with explosives. In 1917, 19 mines were set off. The explosion was so massive, it was heard in London. 10,000 soldiers were killed in 1 second. The earth literally swallowed the entire ridge. It remains a massive non-nuclear explosion today. The fear of the ground collapsing was constant. You never knew if the earth would disappear. Level 9. The animal hero's communication was nearly impossible in the chaos. Wires were cut, and radios were very unreliable. The lives of hundreds depended on a small bird. Carrier pigeons were the unsung heroes of war. One pigeon, Cher Ami, saved a lost battalion. She was shot through the chest during flight, but she kept flying for 25 miles. Because of her, many men were finally rescued. Dogs also carried messages and found the wounded. Horses carried heavy artillery through the mud. 8 million horses died during the 4 years. They suffered the same gas and shells as men. The war was a massive animal tragedy too. They served without understanding why. With loyalty, they died in silence, far away from home. Level 10. The shadow of the flu. As the war ended, a new enemy arrived. It wasn't a soldier, it was a microscopic virus. The Spanish flu spread through the crowded trenches. Exhausted soldiers had no defense against it. The flu traveled home with the discharged men. It killed more people than the entire war did. 20 million died in fighting, 50 million from flu. The world was broken, and the virus finished it. It targeted the young and healthy survivors. Funerals were more common than peace celebrations. The end of war was supposed to be joy, but it was overshadowed by masks and coffins. The shadow stretched far beyond the battlefield. It left a world that was mentally exhausted, a world that promised never again, but forgot. Conclusion. The echoes of silence. World War I was a turning point for us. We realized machines could kill faster than thought. It stripped away glory and left only reality. 9 million soldiers and 7 million civilians lost. Empires collapsed and new ones rose from ash. But the real history isn't in signed treaties. It is in the letters that were never finished. It is in the names carved into village stones. We remember these facts to honor the men who endured the absolute unendurable. History is a warning from the past about cost, the cost of pride, greed, and total silence. The Great War ended over a century ago, but the mud is still deep in our memory. The iron harvest is still growing in the fields. Thank you for watching this journey into history. If you found these facts powerful, please subscribe. The past is a mirror we must always look at, lest we walk back into the green cloud again. Stay curious, stay informed, and never forget. Good night, and stay safe in our modern world.